Donald Trump has gone mute as Iran has targeted 5 tankers that have been escorted by the United States military through a different route in the Strait of Hormuz than the one controlled by the IRGC. Let me repeat that. Iran has now struck 5 ships with a combination of drones and missiles, severely damaging these 5 tankers. And the tankers that we know about, because the normal reporting service has actually been covering up the extent to which Iran has successfully been targeting these tankers, but we've been able to identify it with some open source intelligence accounts that have also made visual confirmation. The Irani speedboats have been able to disable these 5 ships from Saudi Arabia, from Qatar, from other areas. And they're sending a message, which is the Memorandum of Understanding governs that the IRGC controls the Strait of Hormuz, and don't take our new relationship together as a sign of weakness. If you follow the U.S. lane, which is not the authorized IRGC lane in the Strait of Hormuz, you will be targeted. Now, these ships were struck by Iran right before the NATO summit began in Ankara, and during it. We knew about that one ship, and then there were 2 ships that we reported on, and now there's a total of 5 ships, 3 other ships. And all of those ships, they share one thing in common. They are using the area in the Strait of Hormuz that the United States has been trying to guard with our airplanes and with the U.S. Navy vessels and with the U.S. Equipment, and telling the ships use this lane. And Iran said, nope, you use those lanes, we're striking you down. In fact, over VHF channel 16, the IRGC Navy, you see these fast boats right here. They're small boats, but they carry a punch and a sting, because all you got to do is direct the drones to hit the tankers or these VLCCs, or you have, a missile, boom, you can hit these tankers and disable them with one shot. And here's what the IRGC Navy put over VHF channel 16. Captain, we have bombed your vessel. You shall only use routes as approved by the Persian Gulf Strait Authority. Any other routes are considered unsafe. All vessels in your vicinity must turn around immediately or face imminent danger. This is Saipan Navy. We will shoot you down if you don't turn around. And by the way, you look right now at the marine traffic data, at the other satellite data on the Strait of Hormuz, and you're seeing that the Oman lane, as it's being called, that the Trump regime tried to open, is effectively all shut down at this point, and all the traffic flows going through the IRGC. So a Qatari-owned LPG tanker, the Al Rakayet, a Saudi-owned oil tanker, the Wedyan, a UAE-owned LPG tanker, the Al Muraya, and then we learned about one that wasn't reported from a day ago or so, and then one that was just hit moments ago, for a total of 5. You see right here, look at this visual right here. You see Khashab right there by the Oman side of things. And this is exactly where the U.S. was trying to guide these tankers out. And Iran, one after the other, are shooting these ships down. Now, this again happens as Donald Trump had that disastrous arrival to Ankara for Turkey, where Donald Trump didn't have his faculties. He didn't know where he was. He needed to be helped by Erdogan to even walk. Trump's made no comments about what's going on here. Yesterday, he commented that nobody knew what the Strait of Hormuz was, and that he's the first person to learn about the Strait of Hormuz, and it's got a lot of money, he says, a lot of money. Just to remind you, here's what he said before leaving to Ankara in Turkey about the Strait of Hormuz. Let's play this clip.
The Strait, and the famous Strait of Hormuz, nobody ever heard of, but that is some big money machine, I'll tell you what, when you look at the numbers, Michael.
And then Donald Trump also said yesterday that things are looking very good with Iran. They're very close to doing a deal. It's going to be a big and powerful one. He said, we're doing very well. Here, play this clip.
Hundreds of billions. They have more money than they've ever made. And we're doing very well. We paid for the war many times over. And then Iran, we're doing actually equally as well. We're just not getting the kind of coverage that we should. But we have eviscerated them military, and The bottom line is our country is strong. We have the greatest military anywhere in the world. I was with President Xi.
And then Donald Trump threatened the sovereignty and the existence of Iran yesterday as well, and said, yeah, but if we don't do the deal, I may just obliterate all 91 million people. I may just kill everybody in Iran. That's what he said yesterday. And Iran said today, we're not afraid of you. In fact, if you try to violate the memorandum of understanding, which Iran says, that says use the Iranian-controlled Strait of Hormuz lanes. You can't just open up your own lane. We will hit your ships. Here's what Donald Trump said.
Maybe making a deal. I don't know. We'll make either. Look, we're going to win one way or the other. We're either going to make a deal or we're going to finish the job. Okay? And it won't be tough to finish the job. I'd rather make a deal because I don't want to affect 91 million people. We can knock down their bridges in 1 hour. We can knock out their energy supply, all of those big plants that they built, big, beautiful, modern plants. They had a lot of money. They don't have any money now. We haven't given them any money. But we can knock out their electricity and power generating plants in, I would say, a small part of an afternoon. Every plant will be gone. And they know that.
Here's a message from one of the IRGC top officials, Mohammed Baghdad Zolgadar, to the delusional president of America who today threatened 91 million Iranians. I say before this, as the president of a rootless country with a 250-year history, you had spoken in a similar language about wiping out Iran's several thousand-year-old civilization. And the result for you was nothing but defeat, desperation, and a request for negotiations and a ceasefire. The Iranian people are strangers to the language of threats, so speak to the people of Iran with respect. Otherwise, we will respond to you in another language. Also, Iran's foreign minister, Araghchi, is also one of the lead negotiators, along with MB Ghalibaf, posted some of the images coming out of Tehran and QOM, where the massive funeral procession of the Ayatollah Khamenei has been taking place. This is what Araghchi says. Millions of proud Iranians rallied in unity to honor Grand Ayatollah Khamenei and his legacy. Neither them nor our braved armed forces are moved by any threats. Paragraph 13 of the Memorandum of Understanding is clear. Negotiations on a final deal will not commence if threats continue. Honor your signature. In other words, to Donald Trump, the more you threaten us, paragraph 1, as further reiterated in paragraph 13, says, stop threatening us. If you treat us with respect and dignity, we'll do a deal. We can then get to the nuclear file. Until then, until you make sure that Netanyahu leaves Lebanon, until you stop trying to open up your own lanes in the Strait of Hormuz, we ain't being moved by that. And I'll just remind you too, Donald Trump, I guess, trying to intimidate the Iranians yesterday, also says, my soldiers are strong. I want my soldiers. He calls them my soldiers to be strong and physically strong soldiers. These are big men, he says. Okay, play this clip.
We'd like to have strong soldiers. I want my soldiers to be strong physically, and we have strong soldiers. And when the bad guys see our soldiers out on the streets of Washington, and you saw that, Jeff, you were saying, you said, I never saw so many big, strong, good-looking people. And it's all based on merit. So our military's got merit-based. Everything we do is merit-based.
Meanwhile, I'm sure you've been seeing some of these images coming out of Qom following the Tehran procession for Ayatollah's funeral. I mean, some massive images right here. Iran broke the record for the largest funeral in history during the 3-day ceremonies and processions honoring Ayatollah Khamenei. 23.7 million passengers used the metro buses. This figure is not taking into account the millions that attended the Qom funeral ceremony. Footage shows Qom in the morning. We'll show you the aerial footage. Shows an overwhelming crowd of mourners filling the Jam Quran Mosque in Qom ahead of the farewell ceremony to Khamenei. Play this clip. Another image right here, you can see the people in Qom. This was posted by Tasneem. More photos over here. Another image of the massive turnout for the funeral of Ayatollah Khamenei that Glenn Deason posted. I'll just show you photo. Look how big this is. This is in Qom right here. It's a relatively small desert city, relative speaking, in Iran. I mean, just look at the mosque right there filled up. I'll show you the helicopter footage also here. Let's play that helicopter footage. I do want to remind everybody else that this isn't just a funeral for Ayatollah Khamenei. It's also his granddaughter right here. Here's a photo of his granddaughter Zara over there, also killed in the Israeli-U.S. airstrikes of the Ayatollah was his granddaughter Zara, and her coffin is right there. Bashra Khamenei, Khamenei's daughter, and Zara's mother, Meshab Khani, his son-in-law, Zara, who you see right there, and that side of the family. Were all killed as well. You can see the people. I did a video on it this morning, how lots of signs threatening Donald Trump's life at the Iranian, at the funeral procession for Ayatollah Khamenei. So that's where we're at right now, folks. And I'll just, let me read you this because I think it's important for our understanding. This is what Hadriza Azizi says. Iran's interpretation of Article 5 of the MOU is that the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz must exclusively follow Iranian arrangements. Therefore, the opening of the southern routes by Oman and the IMO without Iran's consent is seen as a breach of the MOU. The same article also uses soft language regarding coordination with other regional countries. It refers to dialogue with Oman, discussions with other Arab nations in the Persian Gulf, which is also interpreted in Iran as non-binding. This is one area that from day one was identified by analysts as a case in which the text was too broad and open to interpretation to the point of allowing potentially contentious readings. I disagree with that. I think it was pretty clear reading that Iran controls the Strait of Hormuz when you read the language. And then he goes on to say, by targeting a Saudi and Qatari tanker in the Strait of Hormuz, Iran is trying to send a signal that neither the signing of the MOU with the U.S. nor its desire to improve relations with Gulf Arab states should be interpreted as a green light for regional countries to move freely through the strait while disregarding Tehran's claim to control and manage the waterway. Iran says, we won the war. We control the Strait of Hormuz. Follow what we say, or we're going to keep striking down these tankers one after another. And we're not afraid. We know that the U.S. is running low in its strategic petroleum reserves, very low, tank bottom. We know that the United States economy will go into a Great Depression if you start the war. Do it. You saw the 15, 20 million people across Iran. So even call it 5, 10 million people. You see the people who are out there for the largest funeral procession ever? You see it? You think that we are worried right now? If anything, the funeral procession has emboldened Iran and all of the things that Trump and Netanyahu and others were saying. I mean, you look at the visuals right there in Iran. That's not AI. That's what it looks like. That's what's going on in Iran right now. So you can say, oh, Ben, they're paying for those people to be there. Real, but you told me they were broke. You told me Iran doesn't have money. They're paying for 10, 12, 15 million people to show up. Doesn't look like it to me. I think I could evaluate what I'm seeing there. It doesn't. I'm just trying to provide objective damn facts about what I'm seeing. Anyway, hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.